Okay guys, now as promised, I'm starting my test on a 90 session challenge. We'll see how it goes and whether it gets boring or not. Depending upon whether it gets boring for you guys, then I'll stop instead of reaching 90 sessions. But before starting, a few things I would like to say. One is I've never played RNG roulette, but I've chosen RNG roulette here, so I don't really know how it's going to work. The simple reason I chose it is because it is going to give me a relatively lesser time period instead of waiting for 1 minute or 45 seconds to place the next bet. So that is the first reason. Now apart from that, what I am also doing is I'm going to choose this Excel that I shared with you guys for figuring out what is the next bet and how we are going to proceed. But typically I wouldn't use an Excel for doing this. And the third thing is I would normally use a mixture of data or mixture of methods to get me across any roulette table. But because we are sticking to one method here, let's see how it is going to work. Now as you have seen, I have deposited £200, played a couple of games to get myself accustomed to how this RNG thing works. So based on that, I've because one thing I wanted to establish is this is not
Enjoy
a system.
roulette. Place your bets, please.
Sorry for that. So this is not a system, that is a framework. So to establish that this is a framework, what I've done is I made some modifications to what we are going to do. Is we are going to go against the table, irrespective of what I explained in the example earlier in the post, which is following the wheel. Now we are going to go against the wheel. Example, it is 1. If I get a spin 1, it is low, red and odd, and then I get another spin 35, it is a high, black and odd. Now this is according to the LW register that we maintain. 35 against 1 is a loss because there is only one which is matching, which is the odd even chance. So now in the example that I've given, I would have typically gone for a loss again, which is low, red and even, but because we are going to go against the wheel and it is just a framework, not a system, we have decided to go against the wheel. So it was a loss. So now we are expecting a win, and if it is we are expecting a win, then we need to bet HBO again. So if there is a 28 that comes up, essentially we get HBE, which is a win, so we win, which is a percentage win. So this is as simple as that. With this framework, we will go ahead and proceed. So now the second thing I wanted to tell us, I've deposited £200 here, so I'll consider them as 200 units, and I'll split it into two. One is my default bankroll, or the one which I will use very often, which is the 100 units. The second one is the recovery bankroll, which is where I'll use the rest of the 100 pounds. So that leaves us with 15 units. What I'll do is I'll create imaginary bankrolls. I'll explain why I need those imaginary bankrolls. These are money I don't have, but essentially it will come as part of our money manager. So we are going to create 18 imaginary bankrolls. So it is bankroll, imaginary bankroll 1, imaginary bankroll 2, so on and so forth, up to 18 imaginary bankrolls. So what we essentially have then, all these imaginary bankrolls are going to carry equal weightage as your recovery bankroll. So essentially I have an imaginary money, or my total bankroll based on this is going to be sum of all of the above, which is going to be 2000 units. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to target for a win of rather I'll put the target percentage here, which is I'm going to target for a win of 1%, which is 1% of this imaginary bankroll. So that will give us 20 units. So this is our target for every single session that we are going to follow. So this is our essentially zero position or starting position. Now we will play session 1. at the end of session 1 we will update what our position is in here. But before start, there are a couple of things. We have borrowed something from Mantrix book about creating an erosion fund, which is 2% of our default bankroll, which is essentially 2. So if it is 2% of your imaginary bankroll, which is 2% of 100, which is 2, and also you are going to create so that will mean that your playing bankroll is 100 minus 2, which is 98. So this is our premise. With this premise we are going to start. So we are essentially having a 98 banking rule. We are going to target for 20. Once we reach 20, we will never go below 50% of this 20, so that we can go home with some win at least. And we will set a stop loss of 30% of your default bankroll, or 30% of your playing bankroll, which is approximately 30 units. So these are our rules. With this I'll probably close this intro video and we'll start posting session videos, and we'll see how we get along. Yeah. Good luck guys. Thank you.